Hi.
Okay,
All right.
we'll wait a minute for some people to come in.
Hey.
But we are recording this, so welcome to anyone who happens to be out there watching and listening. Design Unfiltered. That's our working title. Could change. We don't know. I'm really happy. I'm Jared. We've got Joanne and Erica here. We are all design recruiters, and we all happen to live in New York City. And we wanted to put this together because I think that a lot of people have a lot of questions about design hiring, about everything like that right now, and really want to provide a ton of information, a ton of insight. We thought that this format might be really helpful and handy to just dive in and hear directly from the community, from our tribe, from our designers, and see how we can kind of help and what we can guide on and share our insights. I think, experience-wise, we've all been doing this for either a decade or more each, or close to. So yeah, fair bit of experience in the room. Real quick, I know both of you. I want to tell a quick story, and I want to give people a chance to add some questions or ask some questions. But I think you can do that in the chat, everyone. So please start firing in questions wherever you can. And that way we will be able to answer them. I'm just checking this stuff as we go. But if not, I will direct the conversation. So Erica and I met a few years ago when I first moved to New York. I joined another recruitment company and we both worked together, and Erica was super helpful in showing me the ropes of New York. I think I learned a lot from Erica. I think a huge designer advocate in many ways. I saw and witnessed many times that Erica would go into bat for the designers that she was representing and the companies that she was working with, and trying to bridge that gap and get people their value, their worth, get people in the room. That kind of advocacy, it can be really hard to find. So I'm very privileged to have been witness to that many times. Joanne, funny story about yourself is we met one time, and I'm pretty sure you never remembered it. And I waited till now to bring it up.
Oh my God.
It was at a design event on the MasterCard rooftop.
Yep.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And I knew of you definitely from just being in the design community here in New York. I wouldn't necessarily say I recognize people by face very well, but we were there, and there was a quick intro and a quick exchange. Said g'day. We were both there soaking up. It was a great event. Beautiful. And then many moons later, we reconnect and we have a chat, and you sort of explain to me, "Oh, it's so great to meet you." And I think, we've done this before. Like you didn't remember.
It was my senior moment, Jared. Don't take it personally. It's, I'm quite a bit older than the both of you, so my brain gets addled. No, I'm kidding.
I don't know about
I
that.
remember meeting you there. And I remember you were wearing this really cool ring, and some candidate was like, "Oh, Jared, your ring." And I'm like, "Oh, he's got some spice over there."
There you go.
Very, very fondly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Well, look, let me kick it to you guys to do some intros on yourselves and tell anyone that's watching, anyone that's listening, a little bit about yourself and your background as a design recruiter in particular. And Erica, we haven't heard from you yet, so we'll start with you and then we'll jump to you, Joanne. Are you there, Erica?
Erica, can you hear us?
All right, cool. Hi, everyone. I'm Erica, Fort Gang, and I have been a design recruiter in New York for about 10 years. Actually went to school for design, but I always joke with everyone that I'm a lot better on this end of the phone or the video than actually doing it myself. Photoshop gives me anxiety. But I think that it's really, me honestly, work with both hiring managers and candidates and designers to really make perfect matches. So I really enjoy the matchmaking part of recruitment. But yeah, it's me.
Awesome.
Thank you. Joanne, tell us about you and your experience in this design space.
Yeah. So, hi, everyone. Nice to see all you guys. I'm Joanne Weaver. I'm the co-founder of the Joanne Weaver Group. This is our 17th year in business, and I've been recruiting for 25 years. So, I actually got my start in the late 90s in San Francisco, and the whole tech boom was, exploding for the first time. Moved from San Francisco to New York in 2001 because the industry was in the shitter, and I just decided, like, hey, let's follow a singing dream. So I followed my singing dream in New York. I'm still doing that on the side. So I'm also a lounge singer, and I write my own original music. And then I got recruited for this agency in 2003, and basically just did that for a while, learned the ropes. Worked at Razorfish as their national UX sourcer in 2006. Got laid off from there, which was the best thing ever. It felt terrible at the time, but it was the best thing ever. When a door closes, a window opens, as they say. And I opened up my own business in 2007. And then in 2010, I met my business partner, Rebecca Levy. So we are a duo together. And we focus in product design, user research, content strategy, product management. And we also just opened up dev recruiting, like Eng recruiting this year, which I never thought I'd do because I don't really get it. I'm just like, here's some letters, and here's some things, and I'm just going to say this, and it just whatever, but it works. Like, no, hey, you're a good recruiter. You know how to do this stuff. So, so we've been doing that and work with startups and large companies and everything in between. And actually, it was Ariel and Julie that officially got us in touch. So shout out to Ariel if you're watching.
Yes. An amazing design advocate as well. Yes. Incredible voice in the space.
Very.
Well, real quick on myself too. I have now been doing this 14 years, I think, as well. Getting up there too now, feeling it. Started out recruiting engineers in my very early days, for maybe a year or two, and then just gravitated into design and never looked back. A lot of work in the product design space, but definitely crossing over into things like brand design and, creative related roles, UX writers too, to an extent, little things like this as well. But yeah, love this space, love our tribe, love working with designers, love working with companies to hire designers. Such a big mix and variance of design these days. Well, look, I can see a few sort of questions and comments coming in, so I'll definitely get to those in a minute. But one thing I think to start with is collectively we've all been doing this for so long, and I can imagine we have seen so many things in the design space, and so much when it comes to hiring designers. But I would love to know if we can all agree that these are somewhat unprecedented times when it comes to finding work as a designer, or for companies hiring a designer right now. I don't know if I've ever seen anything like this before. I think we've had some highs and some lows, and we're would you agree we're in a whole new time right now?
I think this is personally the third time that I've seen it. So
there you go.
And I see Katrina Lowen-Conway, who I met from my old tech days. Hi, Katrina. She is like, hey, isn't the industry still in the shitter right now? Yeah, it is. But it was in the shitter in 2001. Mm-hmm. So when the .com crash happened, like everybody was out of work. I took a temp job at the Red Cross. Like I moved to New York, 9/11 happened. We're working hourly. Like people that were like from amazing design schools were like taking temp jobs. It was a really wild time. And then 2008 was really tough too, with the whole savings and loan situation going on. That's when I opened up my business. So it was a very slow going that year, let me tell you.
Great timing.
It was really insane. But, it's like learning how to drive stick. If you can make it in that industry, you can kind of make it in anyone. And, it's all about staying power. And this one feels especially long. And I think it's different because there's so many layoffs happening at the same time too. So it's like layoffs and the industry and the economy. I think it's picking up this year so far, thank God. But it's, it's an election year. So it's a weird one.
Yeah, many cycles to it and seasons to it, but feeling particularly confusing. I think one theme I noticed a lot is speaking to a lot of designers, for example, that might be looking for work right now. And that comment of, it didn't used to be like this, or it's never been this difficult to find work, or never been this difficult to find a role as a designer. I'm feeling misunderstood or not seeming to get in the room. My resume used to get me many interviews. Now I'm not getting any. And it's that kind of we are in a different time. We've had low points, we've had high points when it comes to hiring, but we are in a different time, and it feels like the rules have changed. The way to go about finding work, the way to do the hiring, these things have changed a little, and arguably adapt or die, maybe, as they say. So it's definitely made it a little bit more challenging, I think. So let me kick to some stuff here. This is sometimes an interesting point for recruiters. Ivan mentions like places like Google have so many resumes. Can they not use AI to find the perfect candidate for a specific position? I dare say in our careers, we have looked through so many resumes. I myself have never really used AI to do so. I can get through more quicker on my own a lot of the time, or I'm looking for things like that. But, when it comes to, say, resume scanning, AI, certain tools like this, how much do you think filter, does that play into someone getting a look in or not?
You want to take this one, Erica?
I mean,
might as well kick us off.
Yeah.
I think that there's a lot of companies right now creating tools to replace recruiters, actually. So I don't think we'll ever be gone fully, but I think that's some of the issues. It's like not every company has those screener bots, right? If they do, they're screening for one specific thing, whether you have a 4-year degree or not, which sucks. And then just certain keywords in your resume. I think that they make mistakes a lot of the time. I've seen people on LinkedIn reach out because they were rejected by the robot, by the hiring manager who was like, actually, I want to talk to them. So I can see it like helping with the volume, right now there's so many applications, and really the problem is that we just don't have enough time to go through everything, and like we really do truly want to get back to people if we can. But I can understand that working, but also someone on paper versus actually the person that we speak to, they could be completely different people. And that's really the benefit of having real people review your resume.
Yeah, it can certainly help, but that's where I think some of it has shifted and really put the responsibility on the designer, for example, or that applicant, to really represent themselves as best as they can. I think people are getting more and more time poor, more and more maybe inbound applications coming in, these kind of effects, and you don't have time to give the benefit of the doubt to everyone that that person might be who we're looking for, but okay, I'll have a chat with them and then I'll figure it out. So you don't really have that luxury. So you need that level of certainty that this person's worth speaking to. And that responsibility, I think, falls on the designer to really represent themselves a bit more strongly. Have you been seeing something similar, I guess, Joanne, in some of the searches that you've been doing or companies you're working with, like really wanting that adjacency or that having a high threshold to even interview someone, wanting to be really confident before they even take them through to an interview?
Sure. I think because there is such a influx of lots of candidates applying to a certain role, I think companies and us, to be honest, like us as the recruiters who are vetting people to then send to the client, I think we're being a bit more selective in who we get on the phone with, just because there is such a large volume of people coming at us. So I think I don't think, just to address the AI piece, like I don't think AI is ever going to take over what we do. Like I think it's great in terms of like sourcing and selection and kind of helping move like the kind of the top of the pipeline along. But as far as like, interviewing them, getting a sense of who they are, like so much of what we do is so intuitive. Like, yes, there is the nuts and bolts and there's like the, the quantitative work that we do, but so much is like, does this feel like a right fit? Do they vibe with the client? Are they going to get along personality wise with them, which robots will never be able to do? Well,
humans hire humans.
Never, like right now they don't, right? So I think just for that piece, I think there's just so much more nuance into what makes a good fit versus, does it become like a resume writing skill that's like going to get you the job as opposed to being a great design leader or like a great designer? Like, or is it just about like, did I put the right keywords on my resume? Like, I really hope that we can move away from that because I just don't think that's, it doesn't seem fair, but it just doesn't seem effective. Like, I don't think that's going to get people the best matches personally.
Yeah. I mean, in those scenarios, you could trick the system with your CV and get in the room, but that doesn't necessarily get you the job. If you don't have the skills, you don't have it. And then vice versa, if you are really qualified and really experienced, but right now you're maybe not representing that accurately enough in the application that you're putting forward, your resume, your portfolio, then there's not enough there to get you in the room to then learn the rest about you. So it kind of goes both ways.
No, it's true. No, it's true. You have to have like enough to get the meeting, right? Like, you have to be able to package yourself well, brand yourself, put information forward that's easily digestible. Like, for instance, I'm going to write a LinkedIn post on this one of these days, hopefully sooner rather than later. But just as a story, we posted a post on LinkedIn asking, looking for 2 freelancers for 2 separate gigs. In a normal market, that would have given us maybe 50 resumes at best, and we got 250. And so for me to actually get through all 250, I was just writing notes on the side as I was doing this, like, who am I going to choose to interview? Like, who's making the cut? And I think just some like little tips and tricks, if I may, just to share, is just understand your user. Like, a good UX person is going to understand, like, what is the user's pain point and what do they need? Like, they need to get through a lot of these resumes, a lot of these emails quickly. So just making it really easy, like just easy stuff like hyperlinking your portfolio. People ask for your password. I know it sounds really table stakes, but it happens a lot. Send a single link of your work. Like, maybe it's a Figma portfolio presentation style. Maybe it's a single PDF. Maybe it's a website, although I don't think that that's super, necessary anymore, but just like a centralized place, not multiple links. Don't make us work for it. And then if the job is asking for like, hey, we want to see like dashboards, like that was our job. We want somebody that does great data viz and dashboards. So when you're sending your work, if you have dashboards like buried in your portfolio, make sure to send a link that goes straight to them, because we don't have time to like kind of connect the dots and like see if you actually do it. Just like spoon feed us, like help us help you, and just make it really, really easy for us to ascertain, like, are you the right match? And maybe just like a bullet point or 2 about what specifically about the job you fit, like what about you makes you a good fit, just so you can also help us connect those dots. But things like that are just really, really helpful.
I think that's representative of the world we're in now and the way that things are in terms of, large volumes, many specializations within design these days. Things like that. It's like, you've got to really put that relevance up front, because your receiver, the viewer, the person you're reaching out to, you can't necessarily trust or expect that they're going to go digging and clicking and looking and putting it all together. If anything, UX your UX, that's bad UX. You can't,
it is.
I can't even get the information that I need. So it's definitely been challenging. I know, Erica, you've been doing a lot of really amazing consulting work with people on things like resumes or portfolios or, other subjects too, but specifically on that subject. What are there certain things that stand out that have been like really obvious gaps that people have been missing that has been stopping them from maybe getting the interviews that they want to get? Have you seen ways that people can very quickly improve the results of getting in that room? Are they missing certain things on resumes or experience?
Joanne, do you want to take that?
Well, I will. Yes. I actually have one more thing to add to what I just said too.
Yeah, please.
So I think the personal networking aspect of what we do, like now more than ever, it's so important to like front load your application or your communications with like, who do we know in common? Like, if you come recommended by somebody, like put that in the subject line, because I'm going to look at your email first. Like, if we know somebody that, especially if it's somebody that I've known for a while, I respect their opinion. Like, I know that they know good people, but even if not, even if it's like a weak connection, but they're using that networking skill, it's going to kind of send off some nice ding, ding, dings in my head. And I'm probably going to I'm definitely going to prioritize that person, especially if it's like a strong connection, because so much of what we do, like us putting candidates forward for clients, like our reputation's on the line. So we want to make sure that whoever we're sending is vetted as much as possible. Like, we can vet only so much. If it's a strong recommendation coming from somebody that we trust, that really just creates such a more certainty for us to be able to know, like, hey, we can send you in and you're going to be good. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's a massive help. And I think there's many designers out there that have superpowers in ways. I kind of call them that, but they have some sort of strength or some sort of expertise. And you mentioned like data viz was a requirement for this other particular role. You know, designers have done that. Other designers have not done that. Maybe they're experts at e-commerce, or I think many designers have particular little strengths or areas of expertise that they have that can be a real competitive advantage for them. And your data viz designer might get an interview with you and for your role for that. But if they apply to the e-commerce role, they might not be the top of the list for that. So everyone's kind of got these strengths. And I think that designers could really benefit right now from maybe a little inward look and looking at that experience, looking at what they've done over the last couple of years, looking at like certain products that they've worked on, certain experiences that they've designed for, and thinking, okay, I've solved these types of problems. What are adjacent problems? What are adjacent areas? You know, okay, I worked on an e-commerce store for buying clothes. It doesn't mean you can only work on selling clothes. E-commerce it could be a different selling process. It could be a different path to purchase for a different product, but you're still an expert in it. So having that ability to look at those strengths that maybe you've got and teasing them out and being able to shine a bit of a light on them, put them to the forefront, and then targeting opportunities or roles that require that. That's where I really think people are getting the best bang for buck at the moment in terms of doing that quality outreach, being that person that is ideally close to the top of the pile. I would hope that that's where, you know, you're seeing more results.
Yeah.
Ideally.
Yeah. No, word. I think really putting time and effort into a lower number of applications versus just papering your resume everywhere it can go, but not putting a lot of time and effort into it, that's going to yield you very little. But if you put the time and effort into, like, maybe you're identifying like top 20 dream companies that you think fit your niche. I really like what you said about having your niche, like your superpower, really up front and center. Cause it's like, okay, do you fit this specific job, like a very specific peg in this specific hole? That's great. Like people really want that. Like they know that you can do it. Right. Sorry,
giving a little spotlight on it.
Yeah. Sorry, I lost my train of thought to what I was saying before.
That's right. Happens with age.
I think it's also cool if people could also.
Sorry, Erica, what were you saying?
Can I just add to that? One thing that I had someone recently in a role, they were looking for somebody who could add another skill set, like not necessarily design, but some other type of skill that they have, whether it was like product management or data science or some technical background that they had before becoming a designer, and really shining a light on that also. Because I think that's what ultimately got this person hired, was that they had a special, something different, honestly, in addition to their product design, that the hiring manager was like, okay, this person's going to bring a new skill set, a new value add to our team.
Yeah, but I feel like
skill stacking.
Yes, but I feel like a lot of designers are just like, oh, that's like my dirty past. Like, I don't want to show that I was a teacher before. Like, it's not design related.
No,
or a lot of people truncate their resumes too. They're like, oh, did you really start your career 4 years ago? But you have a lot of experience. But they're like, oh, it wasn't design.
I love that though.
But it's like, no, but you're coming into the workforce with so much more maturity, and like, you know how to deal with conflict, and you have different skills that are building to your whole narrative of who you are as a person, which is really valuable. So I hope people feel like they don't have to hide that. Because I think that's, like I was repping somebody for a ed tech job, and she was like, oh, I was a teacher, but I didn't put on my resume. Like, no, they love former teachers. Like, that's a great thing to mention. So, yeah.
Totally. It's, again, another little superpower that maybe you have, or these points of uniqueness that every individual has that they can leverage. It's of a value to some companies. Some companies, being a former teacher maybe isn't as valuable in their particular product or their environment. But there are a lot of ed tech products out there where your user might be a teacher, And now you've just bridged that gap a little bit there as a designer, that you kind of know the user already because you were the user at one point.
Right.
So
right. Or
do
even if
you
it's
have
like
more that you,
sorry, go ahead.
yeah,
I was
just
just saying,
that, could you
even if
bring
it's
that
like a
value?
mission, if it's a mission-based company, even if it might not be ed tech, they're like, oh, you are a giving person. Like you've worked in like a mission-oriented environment before. So there can be like a lot of adjacent things that you can pull. And I want to go back to what I was saying before, because I did remember my train of thought, which was, it's much better to focus on a small amount of applications versus papering it really wide. And in those small amount of applications, I really cannot stress this enough. And I think people at all different levels need to hear this, because I've had VPs and junior designers that seem to stumble with this, is that it's like, work your network, like especially now. Like sending your resume to a bot, as we were saying before, is kind of like a crapshoot. Like you don't know if you're actually going to get through. Is there a real person looking at this? If you have someone that you know, or someone that you know that knows somebody else, like actually getting your resume and putting it in the hands of the hiring manager, you might still need to apply to the bot eventually, but your resume is going to be on their mind. Like they're going to actually see it. So I think it's taking the time to go on LinkedIn. What are my target companies? Who do I know that works there? Who do I know that might know somebody that works there? And then just making it really easy for them to send your information in, like write a little blurb about why you're great for that company, why you like that company specifically. Say, hey, can you pass this on my resume and my portfolio onto such and such name? Like do your research, find out who's the hiring manager. And then, really have your network work for you. Cause I think that's now more than ever. I mean, there's just such a glut of incoming people. It's really about who's going to stand out the most, and those personal referrals are really going to stand out.
So. Yeah. I think we could do a whole episode on networking and tips, and I think people think they picture, you say networking and they picture being at an awkward event, trying to meet people, and that doesn't necessarily have to be the case. I am keeping an eye on some of these questions, and I want to jump to some of them. One that sort of stood out real quick that we could dive on is cover letters. Anyone care? Anyone use them? Anyone read them?
No,
not really. No, me neither. But
I don't think I read one in 10 years.
No, I think the cover letter has turned into the outreach message itself. You're still sending the CV, and when you send it, whether it's through LinkedIn or through an email or something, and you're reaching out to someone saying, hey, check out my work, that's then your quick little snippet of why they're going to that's your cover letter right there. The body of that message, when you do that outreach, that's where you get a quick couple of sentences, I think, to join a couple of dots for them. This is why I'm reaching out. I'm a former teacher. You're an ed tech company with a product for teachers. I've been working as a product designer for the last 5, whatever. That's your cover letter right there. That's the outreach. That's how I kind of see it these days. But an additional document, like another doc attached separate to your CV, if I saw it, I probably wouldn't even open it.
It's true.
Yeah, I agree.
It feels kind of old school, doesn't it? Yeah.
I don't know what they do right now.
Oh, plus I feel like the cover letter always says the same thing. And this also goes for the objective on top of resumes. And I like to see objectives if they're like really snazzy and unique. Like, what is your superpower? That's a great place to talk about it, because that's going to be the first thing that people see on the resume. But cover letters are like, I'm a team player. I'm collaborative.
What about companies?
I like, I'm a great stakeholder manager. I mean, that's table stakes. Everybody says that.
Well, what do you guys think about? What about the companies, though, that when you are applying to them on their ATS and it says optional cover letter, is that just sort of like an old school? It's there as to be there. I think people get really nervous if they don't send one.
I mean, if you had to, that my advice would remain similar to like, give them something really specific that joins those dots. Give me just a couple of sentences about why you're specifically relevant for this role. Uploading a cover letter that, as Joanne said, has these like, hey, I'm a team player, and I don't know. I just don't know what value it might bring. That would shift the difference between not getting an interview and getting an interview. Oh my God, did you see that? So and so is a team player. Shortlisted right away.
Wow.
I don't know if it's gonna have that effect. So if the ATS calls for it and you think there's something to call out, it's helpful. But I would also err on the side that if you didn't put something in that cover letter field, like, would the information still sort of be in your CV in some way that would hopefully still get you the interview?
Right.
Get you through that shortlist. If your resume is not containing all this info and then you're putting a cover letter that has really key information and then they missed it, like, that could be a false negative for them too. So
yeah, the
everyone's
resume the resume is where the meat needs to be. I completely agree. I think if an ATS said, ATS like Greenhouse or, wherever you're applying, ATS is applicant tracking system. That's just a little recruiter tribal language, just to put that out there. I think if they're saying cover letter optional, I would probably interpret that as like it's an antiquated system and it still thinks that cover letters are de rigueur. And I probably just wouldn't make one. Like, I wouldn't take the time to like make one if you don't have one already. That's my personal take on it. I think the resume should stand alone, and the portfolio, of course, too. Very important.
Yeah. It really does all the talking for you at this point. As a designer, I really feel like it is the blessing and the curse of being a designer, is that on one hand, this portfolio, this evidence of work, this some sort of signal that you can send to someone is so powerful. There are not many other professions that have like a portfolio, so they don't get to showcase their abilities in the way that I think designers get to. So it's our blessing, but it's tough because it can be a real curse too, because you got to build one, you got to put it together, you got to if it's not right for this company, then how do I make it right for that company? So I get that, but err on the side of like, how amazing that as a designer I have these skills that I get to build this thing and I get to send that. It's not many other professions, they have to rely on that, just that resume or something like that, but not for designers. They've got this amazing tool to show just what they do to people.
Yeah. You made a good point yesterday too, and we had a little powwow, the three of us, is that the resume is also a wonderful place to showcase your design skills, right? Like, I don't know if you've ever gotten resumes that are like Word documents that look like they came from a bank, and it's not like a banking designer. It's like somebody who actually has some like cool experience. Like, why? Why, God? That's. I mean, your resume
have to be crazy,
huh?
Just tasteful.
It
doesn't have to be crazy, just tasteful.
Like lots of like good use of white space, like good use of typography. Make sure it's accessible. Like make sure it's big enough for people like me that wear glasses and.
Sometimes I can tell a designer just by the resume whether how likely it's going to be that they're going to move forward to the next round. You can just see it. Everything that you are broadcasting, your resume, your portfolio itself, your evidence of work, it could be that PDF, that Figma deck, but all the bones around the work itself, all of it is on display and on show. And I think you're only as good as your weakest link when it comes to putting yourself out there with your work. And if you've worked on some amazing products, but the portfolio you've put them in is really hard to navigate, really not good look old, dated, it's maybe a really old template platform you used, it's going to let you down. People just aren't seeing your amazing work because they're distracted by the woeful template you still have, maybe. So
woeful.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Well, it could be.
I mean, everything. I mean, taking that even further, just to add to that, your email communications, like that's your brand. Like everything's your personal brand. I hate that phrase. I think it's so irritating, but it's true. Like how you're communicating with either us as the recruiter or with the client. Are you in it to win it? Do you seem motivated? Are you engaged? If we ask you, like, if you say, hey, I'm going to send you my portfolio by such and such date, do you actually send it? If you don't, if you're just like, hey, I'm not ready. Like, I know I told you I was going to send it Thursday, but I need a couple more days. Then I know that you've got your eye on the prize. But if you just like let the deadline pass and you're like, oh, nobody's going to notice, I filed that away. Like, it's not the end all be all, everybody runs behind and they lose track of things, but it's just like, every single thing is like a micro communication. So it's just like, all of a sudden it's just like, oh, do they have integrity? They missed a deadline. I'm just going to kind of like watch this and see how it unfolds, but it just has already kind of planted a seed. But it can also be the opposite way too. It can be like planting a good seed, like, oh wow, like this person's email was like, really warm and personable, and they're like really excited about, working with me or a particular job. It's like, oh, okay, like this person's on deck. Like I want to win it with them.
Yeah.
Too.
That integrity. Yeah. I hear. I'm seeing still a lot of stuff in the chat about resumes in particular. So I want to try and do a little bit more on that for a moment to try and answer some of these questions. I think back to a great app, a great website, a great product that you've used. If you go to that website to purchase your insurance or something, you're trying to figure it out, you land on that website. It is full of text. There's no hierarchy. You're sort of not sure what you're looking at. What am I reading? Like, I'm trying to find the auto insurance, but I got a million words on this page right now, and there's this colors here. It's not a great experience. I really think that resumes and things like that are very similar. And it doesn't have to be fancy. A lot of people are sort of saying, designing and adding design elements is not great for the ATS. Maybe so. But as a designer, I really hope that you understand hierarchy, text, space. You said all of this already, Joanne, as well. But if I'm not seeing that and I'm just bombarded by information, or it's like, I don't know, like already it puts me on the back foot. I think, I don't know if I'm in the right place here. So you can adhere to an ATS and still have a well-designed CV. Avoid resumes that turn into a single image where nothing is clickable. Avoid resumes where you can't highlight things. I definitely get some where it's like, okay, nothing is clickable. Okay, that's clickable, but I can't highlight anything. And now I can't highlight their password to then write it into their website. And it happens to be a pretty, they went extreme on this password. Now I got to hand type it in, and it's not helpful. Yeah. I know it sounds like we're just complaining, but again, you've got to remove these variables, and you've got to streamline everything, and you've got to get them right to the goods. And the goods is your work and you showing off and showing how amazing you are. And the harder that is to get to, the more chance you've got to drop off. So
you got to make it easy for us, honestly.
And it's not just us being prissy and like hard to deal with. Although maybe we are too. No, I'm just kidding. But it's really about like making our
first and last.
Right. Like if I could spend, like when I see a beautiful portfolio, I get really excited. Like I love great design. I mean, I think we all do, right? Like that's why we're in this field. Like I love looking at great design, and it's such a nicety. Like when I see a beautiful portfolio, well constructed, beautiful work, it's highlighted well. There's, nice text to visuals ratio. I want to spend a lot more time on it than I can. Like, I think just understanding where we recruiters are coming from, which is like, we are under the gun. We have a lot of people that we have to screen. We have lots of, we got to write everybody up. We have to send them to the client. We're also dealing with scheduling and interviews and feedback. Like if there's a lot to our jobs, it's not just finding a candidate, screening them and sending them in. Like there's a lot more. Like we're doing new business constantly, like getting new clients. So it's really about just understanding that our time is really limited, for better or for worse. We'd love, we'd probably love to spend more time on your stuff, but we just can't. So just allowing us to help you in the most efficient way that we can by just, again, just like front loading everything, spoon feeding us, making everything just easy to read and easy to access. Even it doesn't like, even in a portfolio, if there's like, maybe there's like 4 or 5 thumbnails, if it's just like the name of the company, but there's no like hero image of like what the thing actually is. It's taking it, like I have to risk. I know it sounds crazy to risk spending an extra 7 seconds, like clicking on it to see what it is, but you extrapolate that over the course of a day. It is like, I would love to see something where it's like, I know what I'm clicking on. Like I know, like, okay, I'm looking for data viz. Great. This is data viz. I want to click on it. So just making everything like really, really obvious and really easy for people to choose what to access as well.
Yeah. Risk equals drop off, and drop off equals false negative. You could have been the spot on designer, but someone missed you and they just never got there because they dropped off. And I think one thing to note is, yes, we are recruiters, and this is our role, and we're working on behalf of a lot of the companies that we represent, the hiring managers that we partner with, the design leaders that we partner with. But I would say, and I dare say it's very similar for the both of you, that we have learned this way that resumes are viewed, and we have learned this way that portfolios are critiqued. We have learned it from all the people we hire for. This is not just my personal opinion that I personally believe this. These are learned ideas, learned insights from seeing what is successful for someone getting in the room versus what is not successful. And so through learning from all these design leaders, which ultimately for everyone out there that's looking right now, you might be reaching out to us, but you're probably reaching out directly to design leaders too. You know, a lot of them are popping, you know, ads and things like that on LinkedIn, and you might ping them directly on LinkedIn. Same goes. Make it easy, stand out, like give them the goods, give them the juice straight away, the same way you would to us. And that's why we're offering this critique, because this not only works for us, but it works for any design leader out there that's trying to hire as well. It's a very similar lens and viewpoint that I think they're coming from. I've seen lots of questions. How long would you guys like to go for? I was thinking that we would try and cap these kind of streams at 45-ish minutes. And we do intend to do them more regularly. We could go a little bit longer today if we want to, because I'm seeing lots of questions come in. So I'm open. You guys guide me too. Yeah. Okay. Are you guys looking in the chat if you wanted to grab a question and call one out or anything like that? Within reason.
I did see somebody post something about like, oh, they were maybe reluctant to show their prior experience because there's ageism in the market. Yeah, I wanted to address that. I do think that there is ageism. I mean, it's just there's sexism, there's racism, there's all sorts of things in the market. I think the company that you want to be paired with will not be screening you out for ageism or for your length of time in the market. I like to talk to candidates who have been working for a long time, just because you have a wealth of experience. That means you're going to have like maybe, you know, many different industries that you've touched, or you've got, you know, you've kind of paid your dues, right? Like you've had to deal with lots of challenges and how to figure them out and what are best practices here and there. So I think sometimes it can be a self-limiting belief. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. It does, but not always. Like that's not the thing that I think is going to shut the door. Like I've repped candidates who are in their 50s, 60s that have been in the tech world a long time, and they're awesome. Like I love repping those people because they're just coming with a wealth of knowledge and sophistication and maturity. And I think being the adult in the room and being like, hey, like based on my prior experience of doing this like 8 times, you know, this is best practices. And I think there's an appetite for that in the right places. Not every place is going to be right, but I just wanted to address that too.
No, I see that too. And I feel that a lot of people are looking to find their audience at the moment, audience being maybe their potential employer, the place where they're going to work. And that's both it could be in your age, in your background, in those factors, but it's also in your design skill set. And that's where people are you're really casting this net and going out there and maybe at times feeling rejected or getting disappointed from not hearing back or going through these things. And what that can sometimes just be a signal of, that is the wrong audience. Some people might be discounting you because of your age. That's happening. Yes, I understand. But that is the wrong audience. We've got to find our audience, and we find our people that do understand, that value what we do. They value our age. They value our background. They value our design skills. And so I think it's a trying time to find that captive audience that really understands you. And I think many people they're really trying to get out there to a big audience. And that's always going to bring with it, you know, people that just aren't listening or understanding. And there's not a lot you can necessarily do about that, but pick yourself up. And I know that there is an audience out there for every designer. It's just a matter of finding them too.
Yeah. And I like what you said, Jared, about just making sure that your portfolio and your resume are just up to snuff, right? Because if that's the thing holding you back, it might not be your age, it might be your actual presentation. And just and this goes for people of all ages and all stages of your careers, just make sure that you're keeping up to date with like the latest technology. And, you know, AI is all the craze. Like, I think it's still pretty nascent, but, you know, there's a candidate that I've known for a long time who's older. And he's like, he was above the curve. Like he was ahead of the curve when it came to AI. Like he was super interested in it before it became this big thing. Now he's like running an AI department at his current company. So he's never stopped learning. He's never rested on his laurels. He's just like, I want the new stuff and I want to continue to grow. but that's a mark of any good designer at any stage of their career.
Yeah, it's so within you have an amazing toolkit that can grow with the industry, with the times. You've done it before, you can continue to do it. And again, you will find that audience that values that sees it, that automatically connects with it. And it's the same for any company out there that's making an app too. They're making a product, making an experience. It's great for some users, it's not great for other users. It doesn't mean that company is necessarily unsuccessful, but they find their audience and they find their user group, and they really cater to them as well. So it's just a sort of different, I think it's just tough at the moment, but I really hope people continue to find positivity. I will say real quick, it's you can go hard on this ATS stuff and trying to make sure you're doing the right thing by the system, but I really think you should consider balancing your time between applying the things directly and getting that correct. That's great. Building your network and working your network and connecting with others, working on maybe some of your design skills, updating your things as you go constantly, always refreshing and iterating and tweaking what you're putting out there. And then also taking time away from the job search, going for a walk, working on a hobby, like doing something. If you just spend all your time on trying to say, air quotes, beat an ATS and apply to roles, I don't know if it's the best use of your time, because there's no silver bullet in this thing. I think you owe it to yourself to kind of spread some of that energy out, because I think it can have a better impact or better effect and sort of increase your chances, but also protect your mental health a little bit right now too.
Yeah.
Any other questions in there? I think I saw you looking at something there, Erica.
I do want to address a bunch of questions about the resume stuff. So there's a lot of questions here about resumes being 1 page, 2 pages, 1 column, 2 columns, PDF, or whatever. I've spoken to some people internally, and they say the best way is to upload a PDF, not a Word document, because that is what gets jumbled up more internally in their ATS. Additionally, a PDF is also going to be sent to somebody as an attachment to someone. It can be shared Slack, it can be shared over a text message. So it's just easier to have a PDF. I love 1 page. I love 2 pages. Honestly, if you have a career, show us your whole career. But at the same time, you can also show recent highlights. So like your most recent 3 roles. And then one thing that we haven't really talked about on here is like your LinkedIn page. Everything for a designer needs to be connected. Like your LinkedIn page has to get you to your resume and your portfolio. Portfolio needs to get us to your LinkedIn page, and your resume has to be on there, and resume has to get you to the other 2. So clickable, help us help you kind of situation. So I like 2 columns. I do like skill sections because, again, time is of the essence for us to review. So when we are probably not reading your whole resume, we're going to read the top 2 bullet points of maybe the first couple of roles. Make sure those are impactful. Tell us what you've done. Like, even if you don't have a number, how many sales increase in your company, whatever. But if you also have a skills section, we are going to easily be able to scan that than reading text and paragraphs and bullet points, right? Tell us that you are a product designer who does wireframes and user interviews and journeys and whatever. Like, that is your role. Tell us something else. So on the skill side, I always tell people to add, like, look at job descriptions. Look at 3, 4, 5 job descriptions. See if there's like common denominators in the responsibilities that are being asked of you. If you do that, oh yeah, I do that, of course. Put it down, keep it as part of your skill set. It could be like team management, leadership, upskilling like junior designers, I don't know, product, whatever else. There's a lot of ways to get different things on. It's kind of like a really good menu when you go out. If you see a good menu, it has like, okay, we all go to a diner, it's like 50 pages long, you're so overwhelmed, like, where's this? Like, I just want a muffin. And like, honestly, I get really overwhelmed when I have to read a big menu. I like want decisions. Like, I want one or two pages, like that's it. But I also want my eyes are gonna go certain ways. So I'm a fan of like templated resumes, nicely designed. There's a lot of ways you can find them online right now. I tell my clients to look at Etsy. They're really easy. They're all ATS friendly. And then you can change the fonts, you can change the colors, you change whatever on there, honestly. So I tell people to add a section of your interests. Tell us who you are outside of work. What do you like to do?
Yeah.
Like, what gets you out of bed in the morning? What do you like think about and daydream about? Like, tell us things. It's going to take one recruiter or one hiring manager to sort of see that. And no, it might not get you hired, but it's something to get a call. It's a way to stand out. I think like I graduated in 2009. Not the best time to graduate, probably why I didn't go into design. And I just remember people had leave behinds where you like left some type of like business card or I don't know, some 3D structure. So people would remember, Jared left this triangle thing here. Like, he's the triangle guy. But resumes also were delivered with cupcakes, like cupcake delivery. People show up sometimes like, hey, you're going to interview me? And that is how it was done. Now everything is digital. So you have to stand out a little bit now. I mean, you could still send someone cupcakes. You may not get the job, but you'll be talked about forever. So I spoke to someone recently who makes sea salt on the side, and I was like, that's cool. I want to know more about that. So I'm a fan of adding a little bit more personality, a little bit more color to your resume to sort of stand out a little bit more.
Yeah, especially for designers. It's a creative field. Yeah. And there's like just something that it's just like a conversation starter. Like I was coaching this gal who's like really big into puzzles. And I'm really big into puzzles too. Like my boyfriend actually signed me up for the national championship of like New York Times crossword this April.
Wow.
But anyway, it was like really cool. I was like, oh, you like puzzles? So it was just this nice, entree of conversation. And then she applied for a job where they were like looking for like somebody who loves puzzles. I mean, because it was like a strategy job and you have to make all the pieces move together.
I love that.
It's just like kind of this like kind of random thing that she put on there, but it was really impactful.
People hire people and personalities still matter. We know it. And this resume stuff, it's just trying to get you in the room a lot of the time so that you as the person, as the designer, as the human gets to do the rest. And that will certainly be, I think, or I hope, other topics of our discussion, because this is the first threshold, is to get in the room. Other designers maybe are getting in many rooms, but maybe not getting job offers. Like it happens at various levels with some of this process. And you've got to look at like, okay, where am I hitting that barrier? But at the end of the day, you cannot make a perfect resume that's going to get you a job. You can try to improve your chances of getting in the room so that you then can get yourself the job. That's really what ends up going on there. Right. We should probably be...
Yeah, I also wanted to address what you just said in terms of like getting in the room, you may not get the job. I just want to also just share with people that there's a lot of great people that are out of work now. And so if you've gotten laid off, it doesn't mean that you're not good. Like I think there's a lot of hurt and a lot of anxiety and a lot of fear in the market right now and just in our community. And I think that can, that has a really big impact on your own self-regard and your ego. Like, oh God, like I was let go. That means I'm not as worthy as when I have a job. I just want to say to everybody, just take a beat, take a breath. You're in really good company. There's an incredible amount of people that are super talented right now who are out of work. I've known design leaders who I love, like I would fall on my sword for them. I know they're fantastic. And they were going through rounds and rounds of interviews at multiple places, not landing the plane, not that it's on them, but just the plane wasn't getting landed for whatever reason. And it was hugely demoralizing, but it doesn't mean that they weren't great. So I just want to impress upon people, like just, maybe this is the time. And Jared, you had said this yesterday too, that maybe this is a time for self-reflection and like going inward and like, is this, what do I want to be doing and how do I want to structure my job search and who do I want to make stronger connections with and what do I want out of my life? I do think I love what you said, Jared, earlier, like go take a walk and like don't make this your sole focus, because I think a happy and fulfilled and balanced person, I'm from California, I'm a little woo-woo, but I think like if you're happy with yourself and you're finding fulfillment, I think things come to you, right? Like I think opportunities come and you're able to see opportunities if you're more relaxed and not hating on yourself, but really just looking at this time as like, okay, what is this time trying to teach me? What can I learn? How can I grow?
Yeah. No, I hear you, and seeing a lot of people, sharing a few more things in that. I know we're almost at time, so I don't want to keep going over, but I do want to say that we intend to do this regularly. We're talking about maybe every 2 weeks, maybe we'll do a different type of frequency. The goal is that it'll be, the three of us on here trying to share this stuff, similar format, bring your questions, whatever's happening in the week. We will always share insights that we're seeing, trends that we're seeing. I would love to, try to share success stories that I'm seeing as well. What can we replicate from other people getting, roles, or replicate from maybe frustrating design leaders not being able to find the designer that they need and how they hired someone in the end? What can we learn from these things? So I want to share a lot of that, and then I want to share our knowledge back to anyone that's got a question to ask. And so hopefully this format is helpful. Please connect with all of us on LinkedIn as well. Yeah. If in between these live streams, ping us a question. We can always try to address it in the next one that comes along. But yes, our goal is to keep doing this, to be here for our community, to be part of it, to contribute. So use us, please. Use our knowledge. Ask us. I will say this is probably easier than one-to-one responding to everyone that asks me something. Just come on here and I can say it once to people. My goal is to record these and post these later as well, or I think this platform links to somewhere, but they will be available that you can watch later as well. So yeah, I'll work on some of that. Anything you guys want to wrap up with as well, and parting final thoughts aside from your California woo-woo? Thanks, Joanne.
Lots of resume questions still. So if anyone still has questions, feel free to ping me. This is my area.
Cool.
Absolutely.
And yes, and feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. You do need my email to link in with me. So it's Joanne at JoanneWeaverGroup.com. Just so you all know. And Jared, thanks so much for bringing us together. I'm really glad that you're spearheading this. Thank you so much,
for joining me.
It's so fun to meet you through this process too.
Jared, thanks.
You're just divine. And this was really fun. And thanks to everybody who chimed in and who attended and who will attend.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. Many questions we didn't quite get to. We will.
Wasn't it kind of fun?
You have so much knowledge to share, both of you. So yeah, cannot thank you enough. And we will get to it.
Yeah.
And, we will keep going through this, and we'll keep sharing. We'll keep communicating. We're a community. We're a tribe. We're so fortunate to be in this, in this space with these skills. So we'll keep going on it. Can't wait to tune in. Keep an eye out. We'll just post the next one online. Yeah, there'll be some way to connect.
Awesome.
All right, I'm going to end the stream. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, bye, everyone.
Cheers. Bye.